Wow, the Rickenbacker 4005V. Hi, I'm Chris Maury. Please note I'm not a paid endorsee of any of the products mentioned in this video, nor have I received any product consideration from any companies or manufacturers. I'm simply a bass player with an appreciation for the products we're going to review in this video. The purpose of this video is to celebrate the introduction of the Rickenbacker 4005V bass, that's V as in vintage, which is available again now in 2024 after a 40-year absence. This iconic bass is back and better than ever thanks to Ben Hall and his team at Rickenbacker. Within the past decade, Ben is responsible for many long-awaited advancements and improvements at Rickenbacker, as there's no doubt he'll eventually take the reins from his father and CEO, John Hall. In this video, we'll also have a brief historical look at past 4005 models and provide some practical information for prospective owners looking to buy a 4005V. Please note, this is an overview and not a technical deep dive. Rickenbacker launched the 4005 in 1965. This semi-acoustic bass with X bracing would join the popular 4000 and 4001 bass models, which were first introduced beginning in 1957 and 1961, respectively. Both basses were designed by Roger Rossmeisel, who was at Rickenbacker from 1953 until 1962. Roger was also responsible for designing the classic 300 series of guitars and would later go on to design other classic guitars for Fender during the 60s. Additionally, Paul Barth and F.C. Hall are also credited with giving the 4000 series basses their utility and voice. The body of the 4005 was reminiscent of the redesigned Rickenbacker 360 guitar, which was launched in mid-64, albeit with a longer upper bout. Designer Dick Burke rounded the front edges of the 360's maple top, creating an elegant appearance, which proved to be very popular. The bass had a semi-acoustic X-chambered maple body with a bound cat's eye sound hole, a three-piece maple and walnut long scale 33 1/4 20-fret set neck with walnut wings, and had a bound and varnished African rosewood or bubinga fingerboard. The truss rod cover was clear acrylic, back painted white, which hid access to the unique dual truss rod system. The bass featured two toaster-style pickups, a 5-knob configuration with volume and tone controls for each pickup, a 3-way pickup selector switch, and a small blend knob allowing volume mixing when both pickups were engaged. The unique R tailpiece anchors the strings, the design also credited to Dick Burke. Pickguards were white acrylic with a clear acrylic tug bar, and production models were available either with a mono jack or were stereo Rickosound capable. With the combination of the cresting wave headstock and shimmery triangle fingerboard inlays introduced by Rossmeisel and the rounded edge body introduced by Burke, the 4005 bass had a distinctive look and vibe all its own. The black and white checkerboard binding on the back added unmistakable elegance to early models. The 4005 was available in 4-string, 6-string, and 8-string models, in both right and left-handed versions. Additionally, they were available with the flat, bound top, sometimes referred to as WB, meaning with binding, WBBS, with binding both sides, or OS for old style. In 1967, a few light show basses were made, which featured multicolored lights under a swirly acrylic top. 4005 models for English distributor Rose Morris had a traditional F-hole with no white binding, as opposed to the standard bound cat's eye hole. Standard colors were fire glow, jet glow or gloss black, maple glow, and occasionally burgundy glow. Each bass was shipped in a handsome silver Tolex covered hardshell case with a dark blue crushed velvet interior. Well-known bassists who played 4005s include John Entwistle of The Who, Nick St. Nicholas of Steppenwolf, and later Gary Mounfield, best known as Manny of the Stone Roses. Early 70s changes to the 4005 included standard white binding on the back of the body, high-gain pickups replaced the toasters, and fingerboards had creamy inlays in place of the shimmery crushed pearl. The headstock was shortened and a thin Shedua neck laminate replaced the wide walnut neck laminate. After 20 years of production and due to low sales, in 1984, the Rickenbacker 4005 bass vanished from their catalog. One of my biggest regrets from my years in the music business was learning too late that Rickenbacker had NOS, which is new old stock, 1960s 4005 basses available in the early 80s. I worked for a Rickenbacker dealer at the time and had been to Rickenbacker's office multiple times from 80 to 86, so acquiring one of these babies would have been easy. A missed opportunity indeed. Oh well. To mark their 90th anniversary, from 2021 into 2022, Rickenbacker produced a limited number of 4005 XC basses. Note that XC is the Roman numeral for 90. These were produced in both amber fireglow and jet glow. The XC was a 30.5-inch short scale, 24-fret bass, reminiscent of George Harrison's pointy 360 WB 12-string, right down to the angular trapeze tailpiece. It included the single truss rod neck adjustment introduced not long before by Ben Hall and team, and featured the classy black and white checkerboard binding on both the front and the back, crushed mica triangular neck inlays, and toaster pickups, but with the iconic cresting wave headstock familiar throughout the 4000 series of basses. On the unicorn note, one XC in ruby red was produced. Each bass was shipped with the handsome silver hardshell case reminiscent of the original. Some dealers still have XC basses available and are likely willing to deal, so now is a great time to buy one of these basses new before they're sold out. So here we are today in 2024. After a 40-year absence, Rickenbacker launched the 4005V. The new V model is a beautiful reissue of the original 4005 basses and is available in fire glow, jet glow, and maple glow. However, there are a few distinct differences which set it apart from the original. First of all, it has a thin walnut neck stringer as opposed to the wide neck laminate. It features triangular crushed mica fret inlays, as the original acrylic crushed pearl material is no longer available. By the way, as you'll see in this photo, mica crystals vary in color from light to dark, so any variations in color on your bass are completely natural. All basses are stereo, Rickosound capable. There's no clear acrylic tug bar, and necks feature the newer convenient single truss rod. Another killer feature of the new 4005V basses, which is too important to overlook, is the wonderful shallow neck, which is reminiscent of the original 60s necks. The neck on this bass is amazingly comfortable no matter the size of your hands. Basses are strung at the factory with round wounds, but flat wound fans will relish in the thumpy character that a good set of flats or tapes will produce. No matter which strings you prefer, the wide range of tonal capabilities available with the 4005V, regardless of whether it's played with fingers or a pick, are sure to please. The semi-acoustic character of this bass adds a focused heft that solid body basses simply can't produce. Average bass weight is about 9 pounds. So one of the fun things about Rickenbacker is they have a long history of producing special dealer runs and in creating one-off unicorns and special finishes. Although it's not clear if any dealers will commit to a special run of a specific color of 4005Vs, There are already a few one-offs which have been built. One-offs are either sold directly by Rickenbacker on their website under boutique/factory special, or they're sold through dealers. The first 4005V prototype was actually shown at NAMM in January 2023. This baby was a gorgeous Montezuma amber burst with a flame maple top. This initial 4005V prototype has not been seen since, so could it have made it into John Hall's personal collection? The next two beauties first appeared in a Rickenbacker factory tour video on YouTube in early 2024, which was posted by Eddie's Guitars. Both a British Racing Green 4005 and Satin Autumn Glow 4005 can be seen later in the video. Both bases were sold through dealers in July 2024. These three 4005Vs in these unique colors are truly special and the only ones known to be in existence. There are 4 household items I suggest you have on hand before restringing your 4005. Please note this list applies no matter which model or vintage 4005 base that you may own. The 4 items are wire cutters, a soft cloth that's about a foot square, low tack painter's tape, and a small Phillips screwdriver. Your new 4005V will arrive with round wound strings. This will make about 50% of buyers happy, but will mean an immediate restring if flat wound or tape wound strings are more your style. Either way, there are a few things you should be prepared for since the 4005 has a trapeze tailpiece and a floating bridge, which are very different than restringing a standard bridge type on a solid body base. Since the strings are anchored on the bottom of the R tailpiece, the easiest way to restring your bass is to remove the tailpiece altogether. However, before getting started, I suggest following these steps to ensure that your restring process goes as smoothly as possible. The good news is that once you're done, you may never have to restring your bass again, depending upon the strings you choose. An important thing to remember is both the R tailpiece, the tailpiece hook, which attaches to the bottom of the strap button, and bridge, are held onto the body by string tension, so before loosening any strings, be sure to place the soft cloth below the R tailpiece to minimize the chance of scratching the finish. Before loosening or removing any strings, the next step is to remove the bridge cover. The cover is secured to the bridge by a small Phillips screw on each side of the cover. These are easily removed and are small, so please put them somewhere safe. Once the cover is removed, I suggest loosening one string at a time before removing or cutting the string altogether. Once the strings are loosened, the soft cloth you previously placed under the tailpiece will ensure your finish is protected. Carefully move the loose strings to the sides so they're no longer sitting in the bridge saddles. Once the strings are no longer keeping the bridge in place, use a strip of painter's tape to secure the bridge to the body. Once done, carefully lift the tailpiece and remove the strings. As you can see in the photo, there are channels for the strings on the bottom side of the tailpiece. You'll need to seat all of your new strings now, so carefully seat each string before proceeding. The string channels are snug, so please note it may be necessary to remove a bit of string silk or lubricate the silk area near the ball end for the string to seat properly. Make sure all ball ends are snug before proceeding. Once everything is set, affix a strip of painter's tape across all strings to the bottom of the tailpiece. This will ensure your strings won't fall out when reattaching the tailpiece to the tail hook. Once the tailpiece is in place and lying on the cloth, proceed to trim and wind your new strings one at a time. Check the bridge saddle to make sure the string is seated in the correct place as you're tightening the string, and to make sure the 4 bridge height adjustment screws are properly seated on the bridge plate notches. Repeat the same process for the remaining 3 strings. When your strings are tuned and in place, remove the strip of painter's tape from the bottom of the tailpiece. Once everything is in tune and you've checked your intonation, reaffix the bridge cover with the 2 small screws, and you're done. If you're a bassist who prefers carrying a gig bag, the Roadrunner RR5T EB may be a solid choice for you. The bag is wide enough and long enough to fit any 4005 bass due to the convertible interior bottom pad, which allows the user to remove foam layers as needed. It has a comfortable handle, a full-length accessory compartment, and is available in either black or brown. Only you know which type of case is best for you and your bass, so choose wisely. I only play local gigs, and my bass is always in my care, so a gig bag works for me. Make your own decision on what works best for you. The fact that the 4005V is available is truly amazing. For decades, finding an original 4005 and having the opportunity to play one was an extremely rare, special opportunity. My time in the music business began in 1980. Until 1998, I worked with countless top bass players with all of the top brands of bass gear in the industry and came across plenty of vintage equipment. However, I had never played a 4005 until about 15 years ago. Once I got one of these in my hands, oh my gosh, I was hooked. The intrigue the 4005 held for me was confirmed, as I'd been interested ever since seeing one in the 1980 Rickenbacker catalog. It's hard to believe that after all of these years my dream has been realized, and I'm now an owner. So now that the 4005V is available, many Rick dealers are now stocking these basses. Although you'll typically only see the current list price advertised, many dealers offer discounted pricing upon request and may offer free shipping. Believe me, a little bit of research can result in big savings. You can find a current dealer list at Rickenbacker.com. Happy hunting, and once you purchase your 4005V, please share with everyone on social media. We want to see your bass and hear your story. We love seeing those beautiful wide-bodied tone machines. As a side note, there are a few books which every Rickenbacker bass owner should consider adding to their collection. These include the Rickenbacker Electric Bass, 50 Years as Rock's Bottom by Paul Boyer. The second edition was published in 2017, and much of the information shared in this video was gleaned from Paul's book. Another excellent book, which includes gorgeous photos of original 4005 basses, is Geddy Lee's Big Beautiful Book of Bass. The book is authored by Geddy himself and written with arts journalist Daniel Richler. It's gorgeously photographed in breathtaking detail by Richard Sebald and includes insight from Geddy's trusted bass tech and curator, John Scully McIntosh. It was published in December 2018. Rickenbacker Guitars, Out of the Frying Pan into the Fire Glow. This was authored by Martin and Paul Kelly and published in October 2021. This is another stunning book with incredible photos and valuable information, and is definitely worth seeking. If you're interested in learning more about the history and evolution of the electric bass, I highly recommend Brian Wright's book, The Bastard Instrument: A Cultural History of the Electric Bass, which was published in 2024. I plan to add similar videos in the future, so please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and feel free to leave comments. Thank you very much for watching.